Hi everyone. I got a comment on one of my other videos asking to do something with attenuators. So let's look at measuring how well attenuators attenuate. And then at the same time, we can measure the performance of coax cables. Now I don't mean a coax cable already installed on the tower. I mean a coil of coax. You want to see what the loss is once you get the cable built. So in this video, we'll learn how to evaluate attenuators for loss and frequency response, and then we'll do the same thing for coax cables. The first thing we got to do is learn how to calibrate the Nano for 2-port operation, but believe me, if you can already do a 1-port calibration, this is really easy. One quick word about adapter kits. Again, I love this kit. I highly recommend it. It sweeps good to 500 megahertz, probably a lot higher than that, but I've never tried. If you don't need F connectors and those little RCA or phono connectors, you can save a tremendous amount of money by buying this kit. It's the same kit, just missing those 10 connectors. You also need one of these. Now you only need one, but I like buying this kit because it gives me a lot of spare parts. And it's only like $1.50 more money than buying 2 of the adapters I'm really looking for. Okay, time to do the 2-port calibration. Now, in this video, you're going to see some embedded videos I've made over the last few days. The latest ones I've made, you're probably going to ask yourself, why doesn't he clean the screen? Well, I damaged the screen while I was messing around here on the bench. So some of what you see on the screen isn't dirt, it's actually fractures in the front of the screen. So I'm about to order another VNA. I guess I'll have a spare. First, you're going to do the regular calibration with the items in yellow, and then you're going to grab the double male adapter and do the 2nd port calibration. If I don't say it often enough, and I'm sure I don't, make sure connectors are tight. The 2 in blue you can permanently tighten. The ones at the double female adapter you can use wrenches. The one at port 1, I use a small pair of pliers. I don't get too carried away with it, but I do keep it good and tight. Once you get port 1 done, you're going to take the load off the double female adapter and move it to port 2 and then hit the isolation button. Then you're going to take the dummy load off and you're going to use the double male adapter to form a loop and do the through calibration with the through button. And that's it. I'll walk you through this in a minute. One last item. You're going to have to set up the display for port 2. Again, that's easy. So again, we're going to set our frequency range. We'll do our usual calibration. Then we'll calibrate port 2. Then we're going to clear all traces and set a trace only for the 2nd port showing the incoming signal level. This is a rare time when I don't want all those other traces on the screen, and believe me, you don't either. So let's see if we can calibrate this thing. Start off first by setting the frequency range we want. I start with the bottom of 80 meters. And I stop at the top of 70 centimeters. And of course, it's time to calibrate. Now we are putting our terminations where we always do, at the end of the cable. There, we did it with the open terminator. Now we're going to use the short terminator. And again, I know most of you have already seen me calibrate before. You know how to do this, but I just wanted to walk everyone through it so you know what to do differently. All right, so now we put the load on. Hit the button. Once it's calibrated, we now move the load over to port 2. We hit the button. Now we grab the double male connector and turn everything into a loop. And we're done. You'll of course want to save this. Now it's time to set up the display. You got to go in and make sure everything is off, which it looks like everything is, but trace 0. Okay, that's off. That was off, now it's off. That was off, now it's off. Get this, and prove there's only one trace going, okay? Now we're going to set that trace to port 21 or port 2, and we're going to set the format to log mag, which it already is. We're ready to go. Now, before I move to the next slide, notice that we show 0.00 dB loss. And if you slide that, well, you can tell by the flat line that it's 0 dB from 3.5 to 450 megahertz. So the unit is calibrated, and we're ready to go. Let's do attenuators first. My attenuator is this cute little guy here. It's supposed to give 30 dB of attenuation from DC to microwave. Well, not really DC, but from audio to microwave. Let's find out if that's true. I'm going to insert it between the double female adapter and the double male adapter. Oh, I've already done this part. Hold on, let me move this video forward. There we go. We're all calibrated. Open up the line, putting the attenuator in. And look at that, we have another flat line, 30.12 dB attenuation on VHF. And down at 80 meters, we already know it's a flat line, but down at 80 meters we have 3.15, and on 440 we have 3.2, well, say 3.30. So a 0.15 dB variation over 430 some megahertz. That's pretty good. So I guess my little attenuator was worth the $14 I spent on Amazon for it. Now, I put the attenuator right there. I could have put it there. I even could have put it up there. All that matters is you put it in the loop somewhere. It doesn't matter where you put it, just so you put it inside the loop so the VNA can measure the loss through it. Now, you might not have a cute little load like or attenuator like I do. What if you have one of these? The input is an N connector, the output is a BNC. In this case, you're going to have to make up connectors or, well, cables and connectors and adapters and whatever to put it in line. Do those cables throw your measurement off any? Well, a little, but not enough to matter. And I will show you that in a few minutes. But first, let's get some coax out and play around with coax loss. This is what I came up with. On the left are two spools that equal 41 feet of RG58 with a bunch of PL259 and double barrel, I guess is what you call them, connectors. On the right, we have what I guess you would call a mess. This is about 12 feet of RG8 soldered to some RG58, so we have about 35 more feet here. Now, just in case your head is spinning over that, Yes, I really did twist the wires together and solder them. It doesn't look like I soldered the shield, but I did. The reason I'm doing this is I wanted to make up something that would have considerable loss so you could see what loss looks like. And also, when I was 15 years old, I didn't have money for connectors, and some hams donated several pieces of coax, and I soldered them together like this and operated on 40 meters for over a year and made dozens of contacts with about 30 watts. So you can get away with this at lower frequencies. Don't do it at 2 meters. All right, so I have 76 feet of this crappy cable, and we connect it. Now notice the yellow arrows point out even more connectors I had to add to go from SMA to PL259. You see why I have that kit. Here is a sweep of the cable. I did not make a video of it. Notice on the left-hand end, on 80 meters, we have 0.8 dB of loss. Not very much. Here, oh, I did make a video. I'm sorry. Let's watch the video. See what it does. I forgot I did this. Okay, right there is, well, not really 40 meters, but it was as close as I could get. 1.05 dB. That's not much. And as we go across the spectrum, the higher frequency you go, the worse it gets. Not too bad on 20 meters, about 1.4 dB. Watching this could get a little boring. Why don't I just speed it up a little bit? Now, notice where we're at now. We're up on 70 centimeters. Oh, sorry. And we have almost 9 dB loss. The other thing you should notice, the way I've calibrated the VNA, each horizontal line is 10 dB. So you can tell by looking at it that you've got about 10 dB of loss. What do all these numbers mean? I mean, dB loss is fine. If you do the math, if I put 100 watts into one end of the feed line, this, if I want to call this a feed line, on 80 meters, I'll get 83 watts at the antenna. On 40, I get 78 watts. So back in the day, my 30 or 35 watts was something in the maybe 25 watt region at the antenna. 30 meters, I'm still doing pretty good. 20 meters, fair. And not too bad. Okay, by the time you get to 10 meters, it's starting to kind of cost a lot. On 6 meters, we've lost half the power, or almost half. 3 dB would be half the power. 2 meters, it's getting really bad. How bad can it get? Well, it gets even worse on 220. And look at 70 centimeters. No one in their right mind, of course, would use my cable. I mean, I wouldn't. Not on any frequency, well, any frequency above about 15 meters. So do connectors and jumpers matter? How much do they throw off our readings if we're just trying to measure an attenuator and we have to use a couple of cables and connectors to make it work? How far off does that make us? Well, let's take a look. As you can see, we have 0.01 dB difference here. So that's our standard. Let's put this in. Now again, I'm using a couple of connectors. I've taken out my double female and my double male connector, and look what we have. On 80 meters, there is 0.02 dB difference. That's nothing. You cannot measure that with a watt meter. You can't see it. On 440 though, almost over half a dB lost. That's a little bit significant. It's not a big deal, but it's a little significant. What about 2 meters? 0.1 dB difference. That is insignificant. So you see, connectors and jumpers, yeah, they have a little bit of an effect, but unless you're up at 220 or 440, and even up there, it's not that much. You still can get a really good idea what your sweep is doing, even with a few connectors and extra jumpers in there. You'll still have a pretty good idea what's going on. Okay, first of all, what we learned is 2-port calibration is easy. And we also learned that additional connectors and jumpers, when simply doing loss measurements, are not a significant source of error until we get up in the UHF range. Now, I underlined doing loss measurements because if you're doing anything having to do with wavelength, you're testing for reflection or impedance or something like that, then additional connectors and jumpers start to play a role. I'm going to plug this book one more time, although I bet by now anyone who's seen my videos has either bought it or downloaded it online. I don't know if you can download it online, but I think you can. Anyway, the next thing I'm going to do is do a video on evaluating a duplexer and filters and things like that. See you next time.